All right. Well, as we're grabbing a seat, I just want to share a few words with us. I promise I will not be long. I believe there are some activities happening afterwards. Don't know what's going on there, but again, this night is a great night just to kind of meet new students and get to make friends. Hopefully, your college experience will be a wonderful thing. I know you've only been on campus for what, 2 days, a day, something like that. There are things that happen, like things like class, which you should go to. Probably, but there's a lot that happens in college. There's a lot that you hope for. One of the things that we wanted to do tonight, just to introduce our group a little bit to you, why we exist, why we're here, and some of the things that we aim for. And so I'm going to ask us to do this. The game went a little bit longer, so just 2 minutes with the person next to you. If you can pair up as quickly as you can, just two things, real quick. What would make a good college experience for you? If you're post-college, this is more hindsight, and this may be a sad question, so sorry. But what would make a good college experience for you? And secondly, what are you most concerned about when it comes to this year? If you're thinking about the year ahead, what's kind of the big thing that you have or a big thought on your mind, like you're not sure about this or whatever else? Again, just 2 minutes with the person next to you if you want to share that real quick, and then we'll come back together. Sound good? Go for it. The person next to you.
Bring your tithe and bring your shame. Bring your guilt and bring your pain. Don't you know that's not your name? You will always be much more to me. And every day I wrestle with the voices that keep telling me I'm not right. But that's alright, 'cause I hear a voice and he calls me every day. When others say I'll never be enough. And greater is the one living inside of me than he who is living in the world. In the world. And greater is the one living inside of me than he who is living in the world. Bring your doubts, bring your fears, bring your hurt, bring your tears. There'll be no condemnation here.
About one more minute, we'll come back together.
Well, that's okay, 'cause I hear a voice and he calls me every day. When others say I'll never be enough. And greater is the one living inside of me than he who is living in the world. And greater is the one living inside of me than he who is living in the world.
All right, just a few more seconds, we'll wrap up. Come back together. All right. Getting back together. I'd love to hear, I know it's kind of a larger group, but I'd love to hear some people shout out what would make a good college experience for you, or in hindsight, what would have been the missing piece of your college experience for those of you who have graduated. But yeah, I'd love to hear. Just shout it out if you have some answers or some thoughts. What are you looking forward to? What do you hope for? There's a bag of chocolate going around, candy going around, so probably. Having Wendy's stay in the Union basement. Okay, I feel like that's a relatively low bar, so if anyone... Having Taco Bell in the Union basement. Bar is inching up a little bit more and more. There you go. What else? Something non-fast food related, hopefully. That's a... Oh, She would have studied something different. Ooh. Ooh. How many of you are in school right now and you're like, actually, that's kind of me right now? That's, oh, there's a few. There's a few. All right, a couple more. Anyone else? What would make a good college experience? Good community. All right. All right, community is a wonderful thing. Hopefully you'll make lifelong friends and all that good stuff. Anyone else? Friends. Hopefully you make lifelong friends. Hopefully you'll have people that you meet that will stand in your wedding and like support you and all that good stuff. No one said anything about a good GPA. You don't care about GPA? There you go. There you go. All right. No one said anything about getting a job offer after school. Yeah, that's right. All right. Oh, here's one. No one said anything about finding this future spouse. That's some of you. That's some of you. There you go. All right. Second question. Just a few of us. What is the biggest concern you have for this upcoming year? Ooh. That's a sore spot for some people. But yes, your bank account, finances, all that stuff, that is important. Student loans. Some of you wish you already had student loans so they could have been forgiven by now, but that's a whole other thing. Other things you're concerned about for this upcoming year. Balance. Like study life balance kind of stuff. Yeah, that's important. All right, that's a huge concern. What else? Any other concerns that y'all have for this? Oh, literal balance. If you have literal balance issues, there's a wonderful medical school that you can go to, and they would love to take a scan of your brain. All right. Any other concerns that you have? Big ones for this upcoming year. Mental health. Yes. Mental health being a huge thing for students especially. For all that we're looking forward to for this year, maybe for the next 4 years, some of you maybe the next 5, 6 years, however long it takes for you to graduate. Hey, no judgment. If you need to decide that you need to study something else, it might take more time. That is completely okay. But for whatever you're looking forward to or not looking forward to, what I want to talk about tonight is why our student group exists, because our student group exists because, and I think all of us have this kind of intuitive understanding that college can be one of the most influential times of your life. If you look at your life and you think about what shaped you, what's molded you, when you have the freedom and the liberty to decide where you want to go in your future and what the rest of your life will look like, college is such a pivotal moment, such a pivotal season for us. And that's why actually we exist. We as a student group, we as a church ministry, we are Access. We are a Christian student ministry here on campus at the University of Michigan. We're part of a local church called Harvest Mission Community Church. It is a big, white, ugly-looking building that's made of concrete and looks like a toaster. You cannot miss it if you walk by. Just to let you know, that's what we are. It's better on the inside, right? That's all I'll say. But we are here, and we have a heart for undergraduate students, particularly in people who are in college, because, again, this is such a pivotal and formative moment for you. And we believe that as you are being shaped, as you're being molded, as you have the freedom and liberty to decide what you want to explore, maybe it's career-wise, maybe it's education-wise or academics, we believe that God has something better for you. Not necessarily that you might need to change, although some of you may need to change your majors and all that good stuff, right? You may do a lot of changing in that way, but we believe in God, we believe in Jesus Christ, and we believe that He has something better for all of us. And that's why we call these large group gatherings our encounter gatherings, is because our hope for each and every one of you is that you would encounter Jesus Christ for yourselves. I don't know where you're coming from in terms of your faith backgrounds and what journeys of faith that you've been brought. We're so glad that you're here. Although we are a Christian student group, we are open to everybody. If you have questions, if you are exploring things, or even if you don't want to talk about all that stuff, but you just want to hang out and go bowling afterwards, you are so welcome here. We'd love to have you join us for this upcoming year. But I wanted to share why we exist as a group, why we exist as a local church, is because we believe that Jesus has something in store for each and every one of you. And that's what, if you have phones. If you're a Bible person, if you're not, that's okay. If you're not familiar with the Bible, that's okay. We'll have some verses on the screen. I'll explain as we go along. But we're going to be looking at a passage today from the Bible, from 2 Kings specifically, 2 Kings chapter 7. And as I've been thinking about this incoming class, you all have had the weirdest school experience so far with how many years of COVID and digital learning and all that stuff. You know, hopefully that, I'm glad that no one is concerned that monkeypox will become the next COVID and shut things down and all those things. We're praying against all of that and all that stuff. But as I've been thinking about what you've potentially been going through, I don't know your experiences, I don't know, what the last few years have done to you. But if I was putting myself in your shoes, and for me going through COVID myself, not just experiencing it this summer apparently, but going through the past few years, being virtual, doing everything like that, I've been thinking how much it's been affecting me, and I'm wondering how much it's been affecting us. And in the middle of all that, and not even just COVID, but all the things that we see in the world, all the situations that we see, is there something else that God might have in store? And so whether you believe in Jesus Christ or not, this is something that I'm passionate about. This is something that I believe in. And this is why our church exists. And that's what I want to share with you all, something that might be God's heart for each and every one of you. So 2 Kings chapter 7, we'll go a few verses at a time, and I'll explain along the way what's going on. But 2 Kings chapter 7, we'll start from verse 3. It says this. Now there were 4 men who were lepers at the entrance to the gate. And they said to one another, "Why are we sitting here until we die? If we say, 'Let us enter the city,' the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit here, we die also." We'll stop there again, just a few verses at a time. As I've been thinking about what's been going on around us, what the world looks like, what life looks like, this passage came to mind because this passage, if I could summarize what's going on, it would be represented in this picture. This is the bad place, right? If you don't get the reference, it's okay. But it's a great show. Everyone should watch it, but that's a whole other thing. This is the bad place. If you had to summarize everything that's happening to these people in this story, this is some terrible things that are going on. In verse 4, we see that famine is mentioned. Famine is in the area. We don't have time to go into it, but they're eating things that they shouldn't eat, and they're selling things like dove dung for silver. I don't even know how you would eat that, much less sell that, but they are doing that. They're selling it at a really high price. They're so hungry that they're looking for all this food to eat that they would eat things like donkeys' heads, things that they would never have eaten before. This is the situation that's going on around them. But not only that, but we see these 4 specific people, these 4 men who are afflicted with leprosy. It's a skin disease. It's a really debilitating disease. But the difficult thing specifically about leprosy, too, is that it caused you to be socially isolated from everybody else. That everyone was so afraid of how much that it would spread. Not sure if this sounds familiar to anyone. But this disease was so contagious that they had to isolate themselves from everyone else so that they wouldn't get anyone else infected. I wonder if that sounds like something we've just been going through. That if we look at this passage, we see something that there's a problem in the world around them. And I wonder for us, if that's all we think about actually, if that actually dominates our minds, as we read news feeds, as we read social media, as we're looking at everything going on, we see the world in the state that it's in. We see COVID, we see wars, we see political division, we see so much more other things that are just devastating and ruining the world around us. But not only that, but for these 4 men in particular, that they have problems in their life specifically. And I wonder for us what that combination leads to. Problems in the world plus problems in your life. What does that result in? And for all of us, we might not have that second one, but we all see the first one. We all see the devastation and the things that are going on around us, things that are out of our control, yet they're affecting us and having a terrible effect in our lives. For the others of us, maybe we're coming in and we're already aware of the personal issues in our lives that we're going through. Maybe it's things like social isolation and we've been sick of being socially isolated. Maybe our parents are actually heavy-handed and they're like, hey, even though the world can unmask, you're going to stay in the basement, you're not going to leave, you're not going to go anywhere, and you're going to stay here and learn school and do all those things. Maybe for some of us, it's things like this. Maybe for some of us, it's personal things like stress. Like we're not sure. With the quality of education that we've received in the last 2.5 years, we're not sure if we're going to enter into freshman year and we're just going to be hit with a wall of whatever that school throws at you. Or maybe actually for some of us, the problems in our own personal lives are things of our own doing. that in our head of heads, we're coming into school and we're thinking, man, I'm so glad to get into this new environment because I know if I stayed where I was, that everyone sees the scarlet letter around my neck. They see what I've done. They see the mistakes that I've made. They've seen everything about me. And there's nothing but shame that follows you wherever you go. For the people here, they're going through both. They're going both through the problems in the world. They have this famine going on around them. They have this leprosy that's affecting them personally. And for all of us, I have to wonder if that's causing us, if those kinds of things in our life in the here and now is causing us to feel this sense of hopelessness as we go into this next year. Maybe there's fears, maybe there's anxieties, maybe we deal with our hopelessness in different ways. Maybe we're just trying to escape that feeling of hopelessness. Maybe we're trying to escape whatever we're going through. And I have to ask all of us to consider, what hope do we have in our lives? For me and for all of us, what we need to understand is that in these next 4 years, and however long you are here at the University of Michigan, however long you're here in Ann Arbor, that there is a hope even in the most hopeless of circumstances. That for these 4 lepers, no matter how bad their situation was, no matter how bad the famine was around them or how socially isolated they were, even for men like these, there was hope for them. And for all of us, that's what I want to encourage us to believe, is that we can experience good in this world. And as we look at this passage, we see that they experience good with others. If you would read with me some more verses from that passage, from verse 4 to verse 8. So it says this. So now come, let us go over to the camp of the Syrians. If they spare our lives, we shall live. And if they kill us, we shall but die. So they arose at twilight to go to the camp of the Syrians. But when they came to the edge of the camp of the Syrians, behold, there was no one there. For the Lord had made the army of the Syrians hear the sound of chariots and of horses, the sound of a great army, so that they said to one another, behold, the king of Israel has hired against us the kings of the Hittites and the kings of Egypt to come against us. So they fled away in the twilight and abandoned their tents, their horses, and their donkeys, leaving the camp as it was, and fled for their lives. When these lepers came to the edge of the camp, they went into a tent and ate and drank, and they carried off silver and gold and clothing and went and hid them. Then they came back and entered another tent and carried off things from it and went and hid them. We'll pause there for now. That even in the most hopeless of circumstances, that there is something that God has in store. That even in the most hopeless of circumstances, there's a potential to experience good, and specifically to experience good with other people. If you see in verse 4b, right at the beginning of this section, we see that the lepers motivate one another. That they're not just isolated on themselves, but as they're together, as they're thinking, as they're trying to rationalize what to do next, they're actually motivating each other. They could have stayed exactly where they were, but there's something from one person who's like, all right, I have this idea. We have to go and try. We have to at least try. If we try and fail, we're going to die, but we're going to die of leprosy anyway, so who cares? They're trying to rationalize and motivate one another to say, let's go and at least try to find some hope, to try and find some good, and they find it. When all the rest of the area around them was struggling to find food, they're eating things that they shouldn't eat and things that would make us vomit in the here and now. These lepers find food. But what's critical to see here in verses 6 and 7 is that how it's provided for them. Specifically, that God provides good for them. For these lepers, for this time of famine that they're in, that even in the most hopeless of circumstances, God made a way for them to see just a little bit of good in their lives. God provided for them a miracle. God cast out the Syrians were enemies of these people, specifically of the Israelite people. They had done some really horrendous and really gruesome things against the Israelite people. They will continue to do so for years afterwards. But for this moment, God says, no, that's enough. I'm going to cast them out. I'm going to do this miracle to cast them out. They're going to believe that there's this army against them, but there's no army. It's just 4 leprous guys. And he provides for them food. Not just food, but gold, silver, clothing, all these other things. As a Christian ministry, as a Christ-following ministry, and for a lot of the people in this room, if you don't follow Jesus Christ, that's completely okay. I hope that you find and experience some wonderful things here in college and all these wonderful things that you even talked about at the discussion question at the beginning. But we believe, we are here, we exist because we believe that as much good as there might be in the world, that Jesus provides the best good. that we can have experience. John 10:10 puts it this way: the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come, this is Jesus talking, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Turn to the person next to you and say, I hope you experience the full life. I hope you experience the full life. And that's part of why we exist as a campus ministry. For some of us, no matter what the worries are about friendships, about internships, about careers, or about whatever else is on our minds, that we would experience something deeper, that we would experience something better, that we would experience the best good, the fullness of life that Jesus and Jesus alone can offer. I wonder if some of us have struggled like I did. I grew up in a gifted and talented program. I don't know if those still exist. Just by show of, just so I feel some camaraderie. Does anyone gifted talented programs that were growing up in school? A good amount of us, yeah. That is a great thing. I don't know if it's actually a great thing. Well, because here's the thing for me is that I grew up being labeled as, oh, Josh is a gifted and talented guy. He should go on to this program, this special thing. And so the message that I started internalizing was, if things were not easy for me, then I'm a terrible person. And so I got by a good amount of years from elementary school to junior high to high school. I got 1550 on my SATs. I got into a bunch of schools that I wanted to get into. Sorry, did that strike a nerve? I am so sorry. That was not my intention. Right? I got through all these things, and then I hit college, and I hit my first midterm, and that was just a wall just smacking me right in the face. And suddenly I felt like a failure, like, oh, I can't live up to this. I don't deserve to be in the school that I'm at. I shouldn't be here. I should drop out. I should go somewhere else. But that anxiety just actually grew over the years, so much so that even now I still struggle with, am I good enough? In the positions that I'm now, in the relationships I have now, in the roles that I have now, I still struggle with, man, I don't think I'm good enough to be here. And the good that Jesus has for us is not necessarily that the next thing will be you'll get straight A's in your next semester, although we'll pray for that for you. It's not necessarily that you'll be provided for in those ways, but I needed to learn some deeper, some better, some best good messages. Like, even if I fail, I'm valuable. Amen. Even if I fail, I'm worth something. Yes. Even if I'm valuable, I am more loved and accepted in Jesus Christ than I can ever know. And so one thing that I want to ask you all to consider tonight is actually learning to experience good with other people. We might not be able to help you get that A, although if you are in certain classes, I know that there are other older people who have taken those classes. You should get connected with them and then bug them with all the questions of, like, how do I do this project or this midterm or all those other things. But that's a side question. Network afterwards. We have games and all this other stuff going on. But we might not be able to help you get that A, but we exist. Part of why we exist as a campus ministry, so that you can experience Jesus, so that you can encounter him, and that you can experience good with other people. And that's actually something that I want to talk about tonight, ask you all to consider, is there's one specific way that our ministry is set up so that we can experience good with other people, and that's something called Life Group. These life groups are smaller groups that meet throughout the week. They meet on Tuesday or Wednesday evenings. They gather. They share lives together. They do all these other things. So rather than me talking about it, I'm going to actually ask our team to play a certain video for us that talks about life group and what it is. Right after the video, I'm going to ask one of our members, actually Allison, she's going to come up and share about her experiences in life group this past year. And so we'll watch this video together. Right afterwards, we'll have Allison share, and then we'll continue on with the rest of the evening. Let's watch this together.
What is church?
Church is not a building that we go to on a Sunday. It is a group of people who share their lives with one another, the good and bad. It is also a place where we see our lives transformed through the love Jesus has for us. And that's where Life Group comes in. We believe that we can share Jesus' love with one another in Life Group.
Life Group is investment. It is a place where we give our time and resources to point others to God.
Life Group is teamwork. It is a place where people work together to accomplish a goal.
Life Group is forgiveness. It is a place where when someone hurts us, we choose to show them grace.
Life Group is enjoyment. It is a place where we can goof around and have fun with one another.
Life Group is servanthood. It is a place where we put the needs of others before our own.
Life Group is a family with which we can come together weekly to worship God, study the Bible, and ultimately experience life together. The only thing missing is you. Be a part of something that transforms lives and transforms the world.
Hi guys, I'm Allison. For those of you who don't know me, I'm currently a sophomore, so I just joined Life Group previously last year for my first year, and I am majoring in business in Ross. And last year, my Life Group was Constellations. Yeah! So shout out Miriam, Kyle, and Natalie, who are my amazing leaders. So honestly, looking back at my freshman year, I can honestly say that Life Group is probably the thing I'm most grateful for. I grew up in church all my life, and in high school I like powerfully encountered God and then started like a personal relationship with God, but I never really found a place or like a community where I felt like I belonged in like youth group or anything like that. So most of my spiritual walk up until college was alone, and I honestly thought that was okay. Spiritual community was not a really big priority for me, but I think coming to college, something changed and something really became different, and that really started with Life Group. So I came out to my first Life Group meeting and I really didn't know what to expect. I kind of expected like your standard sort of like Bible study thing, and yes, we did do a Bible study, but I could even tell from the first meeting that something was really different. And I remember Natalie at the end of our Life Group, after we had done like snacks and intros and everything, she was like, we're going to take a time to just like reflect and think about how we want to grow. And then everyone went around and just like very vulnerably shared about how they wanted to grow, and how they were like doing personally and all like the struggles and concerns going into the year. And I remember being like, whoa, we're sharing our emotions and vulnerability. What is this? But that wasn't just like a one-time thing. My leaders were really intentional about like meeting up with people and meeting people in Life Group. And overall, my Life Group was very intentional about like, even outside of this Bible study context, like people would just like hang out one-on-one together. And Natalie met up with me, and during our first meetup, we were at like salads up, eating salads. And over our dinner, she was asking me like, oh, like what was your childhood like? Like what is like your love languages and stuff? And I was just really surprised because never before had someone asked me questions like that, and to just be so impressed with like, here is this person who was like a total stranger a week ago who's so intentional about getting to know me, but I really have like no idea why. And even in the first few weeks of Life Group, I think that was me beginning to realize how beautiful spiritual community is, and how like in Life Group you can experience so much emotional vulnerability and love and grace. But little did I know how much I would actually end up needing Life Group later in the year, because honestly I really don't know where I would be without Life Group. So going into college, I thought life was pretty good. I thought I was like doing pretty fine. I planned to join a church and I thought everything would be like smooth sailing. But something really interesting happened when I came into my freshman year, because I actually went through a lot of spiritual struggle. Up until then, my relationship with God was very like emotions focused. And I thought like that was a sign that like, oh, God is with me. But then coming into freshman year, it really just felt like all of the emotions, all of my encounters with God, it felt like it just got taken away. And I started struggling for the first time really with a lot of really deep doubts, like, God, like, where are you? Like, I don't feel you. Like, how do I know you're really real? And there would be times in college where I was just going through like really deep anxiety and insecurity, and I'd be crying out to God, like, do you even hear me? Like, do you even care? If you're really this loving father, like, wouldn't you come down and like at least like do something to show yourself real? Even asking questions like, what if this is just a grand illusion? Like, what if this is just a coping mechanism? And none of this is real. And like, that was just the place that I was at. And I remember there was a specific moment on Thanksgiving break where I was on a walk outside, and I was like, God, I'm so angry at you, and I'm so bitter. I feel like you aren't with me in like all these mental health struggles right now. But at the same time, I can't say that you're not good. Like, I really want to say that you're not good, but I can't, because I've seen how you've provided me this spiritual community at Harvest and at Life Group that I never had before. And at the very moment that I'm having this spiritual crisis, you've also provided me like what I need to get through it for the first time. And yeah, all throughout those questions, all throughout those doubts, I would go to Life Group, and God would just encounter me, but encounter me in ways I didn't expect. Because I think a lot of times I would almost like confine encountering God to like these big supernatural like moments, like you're in church and you feel like God just like speak to you, and then you're like crying and all these things. But it was really more so in the everyday, through people, that God showed me and reminded me like, I still care for you and I still love you. And my life group leaders, I'm going to shout out Miriam right now. Miriam was so amazing. I was honestly like an emotional mess many times, but we would meet up, and she was always like asking me like, hey, do you want to hang out? Like, do you want to go grab coffee or something? And there was like so many like fun moments there. And even when I would like share with her like, hey, like I'm really going through like all of these things with God, like I have no idea where God is, she would like comfort me and just remind me of even like details of like even the fact that God has brought you here. Like, wow, like Allison, God loves you so much, and just remind me all the ways God had been faithful to me. And even when I didn't have like answers, and she didn't necessarily have answers, there was something so comforting about just the fact that she was like, Allison, I don't have the answer, but I know that like God's got you. And like, I'm not worried about you, because I know he loves you so much, and he's going to be faithful to you throughout like all that you are going through. And there was just so many other very tangible ways that I just experienced God's love through the life group community. I think the first thing I think of is honestly this idea of generosity. And I think that's something that's really amazing and unique to life group. I cannot tell you how many times I've like gone out to dinner, and then like people just like paid for my meal, and I was like, what? But it wasn't even like they were just trying to like be a nice person or anything like that. It was really the love of God, and they didn't like expect anything back from me, but they just genuinely wanted to bless me. And I've really never been in a community like that before. These aren't people that have like been my friends forever. It was like the first time they met me, and some of them were honestly like going through financial struggles, and yet they still chose to bless me with coffee or a meal when I couldn't really give anything back to them. And I think life group really just showed me like what it means to outdo one another in showing love. And there's a verse about that in Romans, but I remember even like Kyle, we would have like refreshments for our weekly life groups, and Kyle would honestly always bring the best refreshments. I remember, yeah, Kyle. I remember one time he brung like Tuzla Joor's like cake for someone, and like if you guys don't know, Tuzla Joor's is like this Chinese French bakery. It's all the way in Troy, so it's an hour away, and the cakes are like crazy expensive but really good. But he would just bring that even for people's birthdays as a way just to bless people and show like even through this very small action, like this is how we want to bless you, this is how we love you, even through our like limited human means. And life group was also a place where it wasn't just like fun and like cake, and there's so many hangouts, guys. Like life group is also very fun. It's not just like this emotionally vulnerable place. We would go to the gym together. We would play like video games together. One time we stayed up until 2 a.m. It was very, that's okay. But life group was also just like a place where I really felt like I could be very vulnerable, and just truly be like broken, but that was okay. And one thing I really enjoyed that my life group did is we shared life stories. So that would be a specific like thing we would do. We would all gather in a room, and just like one member would do exactly as it says, like share your life story. And these would be like hours long, like 1 hour long. Someone would just share all about their life, and it was just so beautiful to see like how bravely they would share even like really really like personal and like vulnerable moments, even things like maybe contemplating suicide, but like how God would work in their story so that like wasn't their identity, or like that brokenness no longer defined them. And then just like as a life group being able to encourage them and affirm them after. So I think overall just like life group was such a blessing to me all throughout my freshman year, and I really hope that all of you guys get to experience that level of spiritual community wherever you guys are with God, whether or not you believe in him or not. I think like even something that Pastor Josh shared this week, we are all signs that like God loves you. Whether or not you've had personal experiences with God, those like super emotional encounters, like I think what I've seen is more than those very like miracle moments. God absolutely does those, but sometimes it's just even realizing that the way that we show love to each other in spiritual community, that's God, and that's meeting Jesus in such a real and tangible way. And I really hope that you guys get to experience that with Life Group as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Allison. If you would do me a favor, if you would pull out your phones right now. If we all pull out our phones together, then it's less awkward for the person next to us. If you've already done this, don't worry about it. We are actually wanting to ask everyone to actually consider signing up for Life Group. It's like Austin, Texas barbecue. Everyone should try it at least once. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But hopefully you'll get to see and experience what Allison was just sharing about, that it is something good, that is something wonderful. And for me and for so many of us in this room, that it is an opportunity, an environment, a community where we can experience the love and blessing of God. And so there's going to be a slide up there as a QR code or just hmcc.tech/LG, LG for Life Group. But if you wouldn't mind, and that's going to be my hope this year, right? It's not going to be for everyone, and if you're super uncomfortable, it's completely okay. Just fake it, fake a sign up. I don't know, just mime something on your phone or something like that. But I am hoping that all of us will get to do that because, and this is why we keep doing this every year, because this is something we believe in. This is something that I have benefited from, that I have experienced and been so set free. Some of those messages that I was talking about earlier, that my worth and my value not being in what I do or how well I perform. A lot of those messages came from other Life Group members. That they're speaking into my life and saying, Josh, you are not what you do. You are not what you've done. You are beloved by God and God alone. And so hopefully we get to experience that. Hopefully we all get to experience that this year. I'll give us another 30 seconds per minute to get that link up. You can sign it up while I'm talking. I won't be offended. You can fall asleep, and I won't be offended. Well, I'll be offended a little bit, but it's okay. But we did want to give everyone at least a chance to say, hey, this is at least something I want to check out at least once. When you sign up, your information is going to go to some of our leaders. We have told our leaders we commit to not harassing you with your information. If you sign up and then you change your mind, we won't bother you. We won't sign you up for like mailing lists and like spam, lists and I don't know, whatever else you can do with personal information. We promise we won't do that. We are not in the business of any of that. We have just experienced so much good from God. We have experienced so much good from Jesus Christ that we would love for all of you to experience that as well. And so again, keep doing that. Keep signing up. If you want to finish the form while I'm talking, that's completely okay. But I did want to emphasize one more thing before we wrap up our time. And that comes from the next 3 verses. And so if you're still doing that, please continue signing up for that. But I want to read for us the next 3 verses from that passage in 2 Kings. It says this. Then they said to one another, we are not doing right. This day is a day of good news. If we are silent and wait until the morning light, and punishment will overtake us. Now therefore come, let us go and tell the king's household. So they came and called to the gatekeepers of the city and told them, we came to the camp of the Syrians. Behold, there was no one to be seen or heard there. Nothing but the horses tied and the donkeys tied and the tents as they were. Then the gatekeepers called out, and it was told within the king's household. That as much good as we hope that you all get to experience with others in Life Group communities this coming year, something that we believe in as a campus ministry is that your experience of good is not just for you, but for others as well. And that is my final encouragement as you go through this year, whether it's with our group or not, whether it's with our ministry or not, that we are called to experience good, yes, with other people, but we're also called to experience good for other people. That the good that we've experienced is if we truly believe it, and that's why some of our students came back early. They came back from home or whatever, traveling they were doing. Some of them decided to come back early so that they can meet some of you and get to meet some of you. Maybe it's spiritual surveys or helping you figure out where to go, or maybe giving you restaurant recommendations. By the way, if you ever go to No Thai, potato curry, medium spice, chicken. All right, that is a whole other thing. I could talk for food for hours. By the way, I just. Where was I going with that? That the good that we've experienced, that some of our members came back early and said, I want to meet students as they're stepping onto campus for the very first time and say, hey, as good as U of M is, as good as it is to be here in college, as good as it is to be part of the leaders and the best, to go to the big house and to chant for your football team and whatever other college experiences that you have, that they know that there is something better for each and every one of you. That is why they come back. And if you've come to our ministry, I hope that you get to check out Life Group. I hope that you get to experience and encounter God, the good things that He has. But we believe that each and every one of us, as we experience good from God, are also called to share that good with others. And so that is our ministry for you. No matter where you are in your path, in your spiritual journey, if you're still exploring things, we hope that life groups will be a wonderful place for that. We hope that some of our larger gatherings will be a good place for that, to ask some of the bigger questions, to find people who can demonstrate the love of God for you. But we as a ministry also exist so that people will be empowered to share the good with others. Maybe it's in your life groups. Maybe you'll have stories like Allison where people are investing into you, leaders are investing into you. Apparently you should get to know Miriam and Kyle and Natalie, and you should, I don't know, apparently Kyle has some good food to share with all of us, so hopefully he'll share that at some point and whatever else it is. And hopefully you'll be invested in, hopefully you'll be shown so much unconditional love through these people that you would have no other choice but want to overflow it to others as well. That the good that we experience in Life Group, it takes work, it takes time, it takes finances, it takes doing good for other people. But in Life Groups, we can experience that, and we want to call you. Help us build that. Help us build these kind of communities where anyone, no matter what they've done, no matter where they've come from, please help us build that environment here where they get to experience the good that Jesus Christ has to offer. And so we do that in our Life Group communities. We do that in smaller groups throughout the year. We also do that in bigger settings, in different settings. We do that as a campus ministry. One of the things that we've struggled with for years because of COVID was actually we missed the opportunity to go to other places and to demonstrate God's good, to demonstrate God's love for other people. And so this year, for the first time in 2.5 years, we were actually able to send a small team, but still a team, to go to the city of Chicago. And we wanted to share with you just a brief update, not a full update, that is coming soon, but we did want to share from one of our members what they experienced and how God had used them to share good. And so would you welcome back Michael's son? He'll share a testimony. Let's welcome him back to the stage as we continue.
Sorry, I'm just moving this. All right. Hi, guys. I'm back. Hopefully you're not sick of me. For those who forgot, I'm Michael. I'm a senior studying electrical engineering. And yeah, I had the fortunate opportunity to go on missions this past summer. I'm not going to talk about why I did it. That's a whole other conversation to unpack, like how it interacted with like internships and stuff. But I just wanted to share like how it went, briefly over what we did, but like what I really learned and just my experience with it. I think a theme that I wanted to share or use is see people as people. And you might be wondering or thinking, Michael, did it really take you 3 years of college to figure that out? And I'll explain later, but let's unpack this. So yeah, I'll briefly go over what we did. We were able to go to Northern Chicago. Oh, first of all, we were joined by a team from HMCC of Austin, one of our sister locations in University of Texas. So yeah, so that's all of us, the Ann Arbor plus the Austin team. Allison's there too. Yeah, so we went to Northern Chicago to a community called Little India. If you guys don't know, it's located on Devon Avenue. You can find a lot of people from like India, Pakistan, the Middle East, and a lot of other South Asian countries. We'd basically spend our days just taking care of kids during the day at a day camp / Bible camp around 6 to 12 years old. And we were also helping out with like local organizations and reaching out to people at the community through service projects. We did sand volleyball outreach and like worship services, stuff like that. But yeah, I'll go into how I felt I was reaching out to the community or just sharing God's love with other people. And of course, one way was through volleyball outreach, just talking to people out in the streets or just doing service projects, just getting to know like people in the community, just being hospitable, of course, like being a blessing, be kind or being kind. I know these events, some team members really just have were able to have some deep and vulnerable conversations with people, and it was truly a blessing to hear that like these conversations even happening with like people who just met. That's crazy. Yeah, but like not only just like listening to like their struggle even, because some of them even shared like what they were going through, like depression and stuff, but also like encouraging them and praying for them was one way we showed God's love. But honestly for me, I know I said we went to Little India, but for me it was actually the kids. And let me preface, man, kids are tough. To all those teachers out there, I know we have some in this room, and people who just deal with kids on the regular. Dang, mad respect. Like, oh my gosh, kids are a lot. I remember after the first 2 days, I was like, guys, Lord willing, if I get married, I don't know if I want kids anymore. Like, jokes, but somewhat serious. Anyways, yeah, like definitely the first few days, definitely the first like 4 or 5 days, it was just a roller coaster of emotions. Like just, dang, these kids are so well behaved, they're so nice, to like, dang, this kid really needs a talking to tomorrow. Like, I know these kids probably didn't have like the same upbringing as me, or I don't know how like good or bad it was necessarily, but man, sometimes it was really hard to love on these kids. But yeah, I think through that experience, because I feel like majority of my time, I was just spending time with kids and just like being told to like take care of them or invest in them. But I think through those experiences, God was really challenging me to like, hey, love on these kids like beyond their behavior. Like even if they're mischievous, even if they're, I'm not gonna use any more colorful words, but like even though they may misbehave, like not to ignore their behavior, but to look past it and see how God sees these children as well, which is his creation, and he loves it so much. But I also wanted to talk about a specific child who I won't mention his name for privacy's sake, but he was a super young boy, like around 9 or something. He was like that tall or something. He's from Congo. He like recently came to the States. Super small, tiny, flipping adorable. Like I swear I would just always want to like pick him up and like, you're amazing. Yeah, but when I met him, I just really wanted to pour my heart into him, love on him as much as I could. I just wanted to make sure that like he knew that people cared for him. And I think God was using this small kid who didn't even really know how to speak English, by the way. The only words he told me were yeah and water. Yeah, so like, sorry, I got lost. Yeah, that like, you feel like, it was almost like God was telling me, you feel this way toward this child, why not you feel this way not only to all the other children who are there, but also of all people, campus ministry, people of other ethnic and religious backgrounds, like all people, and see them that way because that's how God sees them as well. Yeah, so that was a big realization for me. And maybe it did take 3 years of college to realize that. But that's not to say that I did everything perfectly and I knew what to do in every situation. I still struggled. Like kids would tell me certain things, or I'd get caught up in kid drama, if you know what I mean. But 2 things off of that. That's why I was part of a team, When I failed or didn't know what to do, there was always someone else there for me who knew what to do. Shout out the team, because some of you guys are here. But more importantly, that's why I needed to depend on God, because if I was on my own, man, mad struggling. Yeah, so to summarize, I felt like I was sharing God's love not only to kids, but to every person I met, just by seeing them as people, people who God loves and God cares for. So I'll see them the same way. Just people are not projects, they're not liabilities, they're not these mischievous creatures you call children. Yeah, they're God's creation, and God loves and cares for them. So yeah, that's all I have. There's a lot more to unpack, so if you have any more questions, feel free to find me. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Look to the person next to you and say, kids are great. I'm so thankful for Michael and the rest of our team and what we got to experience this summer, because we were able to actually go and demonstrate God's love. And that's the invitation I want to extend to all of us. Again, there are a lot of other campus groups that are doing some wonderful things, some of them religious, some of them not religious, some of them doing some really crazy, wonderful things. I'm so glad to hear about what they focus on and what they do. But for us as a specific campus ministry here, for us as followers of Christ here, we believe that we have been given the best good, that we have been given Jesus Christ. His unconditional love, his unconditional just love and grace and all these wonderful things that he's provided for each and every one of us. And we hope and we pray that each person who goes through our ministry will come out the other side saying, I want to go and share this good. I want to share the love of Jesus Christ. I want to share the good news about Jesus Christ, his forgiveness, his death on the cross, his resurrection that gives us hope even when there is no hope in this world. We want to share that good news. We want to share that wonderful thing with the rest of the world. That's part of why we exist as a campus ministry. We have a logo, and we haven't talked about this in a very long time, but we have a logo that we've used, and this is really foundational for us as a church, that as we think about the work that God does in each and every one of us, we hope and pray that just like this ripple drop, right, as beautiful and photogenic and all that good stuff as it is, but what it represents is that middle thing, that middle droplet that falls, that is Jesus Christ encountering each and every one of us. We pray that that would go deeply. We pray that that go deep into maybe some wounds that we have or some things that we struggle with, areas where we have not discovered freedom in Christ yet. We hope and pray that all of you would experience that maybe from God directly, maybe from God using people in life groups and all those other things. And we pray that you would experience that deeply and powerfully in each and every one of your lives. But we know that just like the ripple, that doesn't stop with you, but that goes out. And for each and every one of us, the love and the good that God wants to show you this year and all the years that you're here and all the rest of your life, that all the good that he wants to show you, he wants you to say, now go and take that good, take that love, take the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ to the ends of the earth. Why do we exist? We believe that Jesus Christ and Jesus Christ alone can transform lives so that we can go and transform the world. Can I ask us all to stand, and we'll close our time. I know we've gone long and all those things. Thank you for your patience and all those things. But we wanted to share our heart, why we exist as a ministry. And as we close out our time, I want to ask us, I know a lot of us are in a lot of different places right now, so just to take a moment and think, where are you tonight? Why are you here in Ann Arbor? Why are you here in college? What are you looking for? And some things, it just feels like it's the next step. I have to be here. My parents are making me be here and all those other things. I want to let each and every one of you know that God has you here for a reason. That God, just like this passage that we saw, that God wants to do good in each and every one of your lives. And he wants to change you, transform you, set you free so that you can take that good to a world that, yes, there is a lot of good in the world right now, but there's so much brokenness. There's so much devastation. There's so much healing that the world needs, that he wants to bring you to a place so that you can go and bring that hope to the world. Can I ask us just to take a moment, if you're not comfortable praying, then maybe you can just close your eyes, but for all of us just to take a moment to pray for ourselves. Wherever you are tonight, whatever expectations you have for the rest of this year, can I ask you to bring those to God? We believe that praying is just talking with God and just having a conversation with him. For all of us to bring those things to God and say, God, we want to bring this to you. All of my concerns, all of my worries, all of my anxieties, and all of my fears. And God, if you're real, I want to experience this love and good that we've been talking about tonight. God, if you're real, if you're real, I want to encounter you. God, if you're real, make that known to me. That I can share stories like Allison shared, that I can share stories like so many other people in this room can share, that God, if you're real, that you would do that good in my life as well. You may not feel like it now, but maybe sometime down the line, maybe sometime this year, you'll have that moment and say, man, I don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what hope there is for me in the world. I'm hoping that you would turn to God in those moments and you would encounter him and say, wow, there's so much love and good that God has to offer. Maybe that's through a life group. Maybe that's through some other thing. But can I ask us, just in your own words, to pray that to God and say, God, this is where I am. Just honestly, this is where I am. God, if you're real, would you meet me? Just in this quiet moment, we're going to respond and just close out our time just by praying and singing a little bit and just doing some things together. But can I ask us just to take a moment here just to be honest and say, God, this is where I am this year. This is all my excitement. This is all the things I'm hoping to do. This is all the things that I'm hoping to explore. Just say that to God and say, God, I am actually pretty excited for this year. But God, if you have a better good in store for me, I want to experience that. So just for a brief moment, and don't have to do it out loud if you don't want to, but just to pray that and say, God, this is where I am. If you're real, help me encounter you. Help me experience the good and the love that you have to offer. Let's just pray that just for a moment here. Then we'll close out our time after that.